Hi Aquarius, welcome to a new feature of mine. I'm going to be continuing to do love readings, probably posting them within a week from now, and also doing the general readings, which can include any kind of topic which seems to be prevalent based on the cards that I draw, but doing that twice a month instead of once a month. And so this period of time will cover from the 1st of October until the 16th. And on the 16th, we will have a full moon in Aries. Aries is your third house of communication. And this includes the internet. So when there's a full moon in the third house, what can happen is that it also deals with writing, so you may be ending a writing project, but you may find out something about somebody on the internet, and this might be some kind of a revelation, a secret gets revealed, or something along those lines. Maybe you'll find out about somebody that you haven't heard from in many years. It could have to do with your siblings as well. Okay. So 3 major arcanas out of 6, that's kind of significant. So this next couple of weeks may be very important for you in some way. I mean, that's always a possibility. And yeah, so in any case, the overall theme is the Hermit. And if I'm correct with my charts in my mind, that Libra, all that energy of Libra is happening in your 9th house, which is of the higher mind and deals in part with your philosophy or your idea of God and things of that nature. And maybe with Jupiter there, you're really being expanded in this way. I have, semi-joked about Aquarians being atheists. Charles Darwin was an Aquarian, and Aquarius is associated with scientists and also inventors. And so it just stands to reason that people who are kind of wired that way, and also being an air sign, that they kind of gravitate towards proof, in quotes, in air quotes, as well as just the intellectual side of life. And sometimes people who have an intellectual bent find that religion can seem very superstitious, and even childish and anti-intellectual, right? So that can definitely happen. But remember that there's a difference between organized religion and spirituality. The Hermit is about someone who is seeking enlightenment, and they're looking within. I just picked this card for the sign I did before yours in one of the positions. And they're not seeking it from an outer source. They're seeking it. It's a card of going within. So it's not a card of, going to confession or, having a middleman to God to tell you what is happening. It's really about being your own guru by, kind of getting away from the world. The hermit, the monk. They're people that, meditate in caves. They're going away from society in order to find themselves. And this may be your version or your way to do that. Now, why are you in such a state of mind? Well, we have the Lover's card. So this may be because of a relationship, perhaps, that went sour. I should say that the Hermit card connects to the sign of Virgo, and the Lovers to Gemini. So these may be players that you're dealing with in relationships. Maybe you were with a Gemini and now you're with a Virgo, or you're interested in a Virgo. But in terms of, possible situations that they represent, maybe you were in a relationship that was a committed relationship, or you thought it was. You thought it was an intimate relationship. Maybe it was a sexual relationship, but you thought it was something more than that, just the physical. And it didn't pan out for whatever reason, and now you're kind of looking at it from a philosophical angle. What went wrong? What did I do? Or what could I have done? Or what should I do in the future? Should I even put my heart on the line? What's happening now or in the near future is the Page of Cups, which can connect to water signs. I especially think of Pisces, and is a very naive, gullible energy, but it can be very impressionable and very innocent, and it could relate to children. So if there's any child issues involved, that may kind of indicate somebody where you had to make a choice because you had a child involved. But because I have to say, this could be a choice that you had to make. And I definitely see, by the way, this is an example of a reading that I don't see as a business situation. I see it as an emotional situation, specifically of a romantic nature because of the Lover's card. And, really kind of soul searching. That's what you could say about the Hermit card. You're doing a bit of soul searching. And you may have a new relationship that's coming in. It could be, with a water sign, so that would be with a Cancer, a Scorpio, or a Pisces individual. And maybe you were recovering from, maybe you've been alone for a while. Maybe you've been a hermit for a while, and now you have met somebody new, or you're open to it. Maybe you've healed and you're like the Page of Cups, so you have no preconceived notions. No emotional baggage to kind of keep you down. The higher message, I mean not the higher message, but what crosses you is the Ace of Pentacles. And so I'm reading this as a challenge, a reverse card. Something can't get going for some reason. You're trying to get something going, but it's not, the timing is not correct. And this may make you feel pretty impatient, or maybe even frustrated. But it could be that even if you're like, let's say you're in love with somebody else, it just, maybe they are still legally married, or they have a child to think about and they can't be with you right now. This does not mean that it's not possible. This is a card in its upright position that there's a portal, there's a door, kind of like a new life awaits you that you can walk through, but maybe there's something that needs to kind of be better with the timing to make it happen. The advice is the Devil card. So, and this connects particularly with Capricorn. This is an earth sign. So maybe that person, maybe there's a Capricorn individual that is creating problems for you. Maybe this is an ex, but it could just be any kind of relationship. And this might even go back to that, where it's sexually based and you are kind of hooked into it. Maybe you're hoping that it will be something more, and yet it never really goes anywhere. It just stays at that level, and that you repeat that cycle. And every time you repeat it, you may feel a little emptier after you are done with another round of a physical experience with that person. You may feel like more and more depleted, and yet it has you in its grasp and you can't seem to get away from it. And this is just something that, it's like any addiction, you have to take the goat by the horns, or whatever the heck that is, and really do something yourself, and not think that it's going to just happen or drop of its own accord. But by the same token, it is good not to be too forceful. A lot of times people try to stop doing things and they are a little bit too antagonistic about it, and they end up creating resistance instead of just not giving it so much power. That's what addictions are all about. It's power. And when people can realize that they actually have the control, they have so much more self-mastery, and they can really triumph over these things that they thought they were hopeless or helpless to deal with. And the outcome is the Two of Swords. So again, as I said, this card can indicate choice. This could indicate decision. And you may feel like you're at a loggerheads, like you're in a stalemate. The person is blindfolded. The person might not be seeing what they need to see. So again, if there's some kind of relationship and it's an addictive, it's a toxic relationship, and you can't seem to get it out of your grips, it's hard to move on to the next chapter. These two cards, the Ace of Pentacles and the Page of Cups, indicate that you could have new beginnings in both love as well as the foundations of your life. But the timing, but there's something awry. That's why the Ace of Pentacles is in a challenge position, and maybe it has to do with you still have unfinished business to deal with. So you really kind of hold the key. You can make the choice, which this represents, and once you kind of go within, you can see the path more clearly, and that will help you make the appropriate decision. There may be two people involved that you're deciding between, and that also takes time to kind of reflect upon by going within. So yeah, that's quite a chock full 2 weeks. So we'll see if that pans out, Aquarius. If you'd like a private reading, you can click on the link below. It'll take you to my website. Otherwise, have a great and eventful first half of October. Bye.